All right, so now what I'm going to teach you to do is to go backwards. On page 1, we learned how to multiply. Um, and notice that you don't see any parentheses here because there's really nothing to multiply. But now we're going to look at factoring binomials. Binomial means, again, it has two terms, okay? So each of these have two terms. So when we are factoring, basically we're going backwards, okay? So in page 1, okay, in page 1 we multiplied, okay? And now we're gonna unmultiply. We're gonna go backwards, okay? We're gonna factor it out. So when we're factoring it out, we want to look for a common factor, meaning a number that goes into 3x and 6 at the same time, so I can divide it back out, okay? So 3 and 6, there's a common factor of 3, because 3 goes into 3 and 3 goes into 6. So I'm going to factor out a common factor of 3. We also call it a GCF, a greatest common factor. Greatest common factor. So a number that goes into both of them. Sometimes you have more than one number that goes into it, but like for example number 4, you see that 4 goes into 4 and 4 goes into 8. At the same time 2 goes into 4 and 2 goes into 8. But we want to pick the 4 because the 4 is the greatest common factor. Now before I keep going, let me just show you that you could find the common factors. There's a tool in Desmos. So like if you go to Desmos, okay, and then if you go to here and then just type GCF for greatest common factor with a parentheses and put both of your numbers. So I was looking for a common factor between 3 and 6. So if I do 3 comma 6, it tells me that 3 goes into both of them. Okay, so that's the number I wrote out here. And then once I find that, I need to just divide it out. So I'm going to divide it out by the greatest common factor, which is 3. So 3 divided by 3 is x, minus 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this is my factored form. Usually when you have something in factored form, you should see a set of parentheses. Okay? And also you can check your answer. Check by multiplying it out. Just by multiplying, okay? So here you can do, so if this is your answer, and you want to check if this is the right one, you can just simply multiply it out. So you have 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, and that's exactly what I have. So this checks out. Okay. So we want to find the greatest common factor, the GCF, between 5 and 20. Okay, so between 5 and 20. Well, we know 5 goes into it, right? 5 and 20. Well, 5 goes into both of them, which means that I can factor out the 5, okay? And then now we're gonna when I'm factoring out, I'm gonna divide it out. So you have y, and then minus 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay, and then you can always multiply it out to check your answer. Now for number 3, this is a little different because there's no number here, there's a number here. So I can't really take out any of the numbers, but I can see that there's a common factor of a here and an a here, so that is my GCF. So this GCF was 5 here, so that's what I took out. This GCF was 3, so that's what I took out. And then over here, this greatest common factor here is an a. Okay, so now I'm going to put that greatest common factor on the outside, and I'm going to then divide it up. So you have here b plus 3. Okay. here, let me find the greatest common factor, GCF. GCF between 4 and -8. So it says that it's 4, which means that I'm going to divide out of 4. So if I divide out of 4 here, divide out of 4 here, so you have 4 divided by 4, which is 1, and then minus 8 divided by 4, which is 2, and then you still have your x. Okay, so for number 5, let's see if there's a well, I know there's not a greatest common factor between 4 and 7, but I can always check. Okay, it says that it's a 1, meaning that it's prime, like there's no common factor. So if you get a 1, then it's not there's no common factor. Because the only thing that'll go into 4 and 7 at the same time is 1. So, but you notice that there's a y squared and a y squared here, so my greatest common factor here is a y squared. Okay, so that's what I'm going to factor out. So you have here y squared, that crosses out, and you have a 4 minus, and then you have a 7. Now here, if you notice, you can go ahead and just combine these two. So 4 minus 7 is -3. Okay, and then this, we don't generally write it like this, we just write it, we put the -3 out in the front. So now that I look back here, look, it's just like combining like terms. Oh, where'd I get the negative from? No, my bad, sorry. That's a plus. So this would end up being 4 plus 7 is, see, that's why I use a pencil. 4 plus 7 is 11. So this would end up being 11. Okay. So like, how would I go backwards here? Well, I can honestly just go backwards from here, but when I'm here, there's many different options, right? It could be 4 plus 7 equals 11. It could be like, I don't know, 5y squared plus 6y squared, because 5 plus 6 is 7. So in this stage right here, I can't really go back, but I can always go back from this stage when I have it in factored form. This is simplified form. All right, so over here, so let's find what the greatest common factor is between 10 and 30. What number goes into 10 and 30? If you're thinking 10, you're correct. So here, the greatest common factor is equal to 10. 10 goes into both of them. But notice that there's an x squared here and there's an x here. So the most I can take out, the greatest I can take out is an x. So my greatest common factor is 10x. Okay, so which means that now I'm going to divide by 10x. So the 10s get crossed out. If you take out an x here, you take out an x here, you have one x left. And then 30 divided by, the x's get crossed out, 30 divided by 10 is 3. And that is my answer. Alright, 2 more problems. So if I look here, there's a C here, there's a C here. There's no D here and there's no B here. So my greatest common factor between these two is a C. That's all I can take out. Okay, so if I divide out a C, divide out a C, I only have D left. Okay, minus, take out the C and you have AB. And that is my answer. That is my factored form. Over here I have P over here. So my greatest common factor is a P that I can take out. So you have here, divide out a P. So here you just have R and P divided by P. anything divided by itself is equal to 1. Okay, so that's page 2.